Hello, listeners and lurkers. Welcome to Helping Hands After the Game. I'm your host, Lady Lily, here joined with my co host.
JanuaryGarnet.
And today we're talking about our Abomination Vaults game. We're continuing that. And to start us off, we're asking a simple, well, not so simple, but little question. Uh, what book, movie, or TV show would you like to be turned into a TTRPG or tabletop role playing game if you don't know what that means? January, why don't you go first?
Okay. So the first thing that came to my mind, and there's a ton of things that I would love to role play, but I guess lately I've been doing another deep dive into Lost and the lore of Lost, and I just thought that that would be a really cool environment to tabletop role play because there's a bigger overarching story with all these mysteries and just really cool lore. But then there's also this focus on characters, and each individual
Mm-hmm.
character has their own story and stuff. So, and it's all about flashbacks and backstory and lore for the
Nice.
individuals, but then the whole island too. So it just seems like a really cool environment to explore. It's like the perfect environment for a tabletop because
Yeah.
that's what you kind of do in Pathfinder and D&D and all that. It's having a character, having their backstory, and then, you know, having this adventure in this mysterious world, and that's Lost. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah, for
definitely
sure.
there probably is a Lost TTRPG out there. I just haven't found it yet.
Yeah. That sounds. I've never watched Lost. I've heard a little bit about it, but when it came around to my attention, there was already the uh I guess kind of stigma or whatever the rumor about it that it was so complicated and did not make any sense at all. So I was like, "Oh, well it's overly complicated. I never mind. I'm not gonna fuck with that."
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's not it is and it isn't because I think that the creators started out just wanting to tell more about the characters and really
Mhm.
build a show around the characters. Now, this is back when they were making TV shows that each season had 20 or 24
Yeah.
episodes for
Yeah.
each season. So, and nowadays it's more like 8 to 10 episodes to tell a story for each season.
Yeah.
So, it's there's a lot. There's a lot of information. And the way that they told it was kind of jumping all around timelines and everything, so it was that's
Mhm.
the complicated part because it's hard to keep track. But it's I was rewatching the first season, and it immediately hooks you into these people's lives and what they're going through, and it's almost like you can't help but not watch.
Nice.
But yeah.
Well, maybe if I get around to watching things and the I have a way to watch it. No,
Yeah.
I think I've found some ways to watch things. Um, but if I get around to and have the attention span, I might check it out.
Yeah.
Um, as for me, I'm gonna go a little cliche here, and say underworld, the
Yeah.
underworld world. Cliche because oh, it's vampires and oh, whatever. And yeah, I was that goth kid that loved vampires and still do love vampires.
Same.
Um, so but it's so interesting. There's so many questions that are still unanswered about
Mhm.
like the origin, what is it really a disease? Is it, you know, then the covens and how they worked,
Mhm.
and then the lichens and the werewolves, the differences there, and just what happened there. And there's so many questions, and I would love to explore in that world. And also, you know, just I don't know, I loved the story.
Yeah.
And I love the future part. I'm interested, so interested in what happened between the time where at the end of the second movie and the time that the fourth movie happens. I'm so curious as how things played out there and what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely play that game.
And like, yes, I know there's Vampire the Masquerade, but it's not the same world. It's
Yeah.
it's totally different.
Yeah,
And it works differently.
yeah, absolutely. I'm just now looking up the film series, and there's another one.
There's a fifth
There's a
one?
5th one that's called
Oh,
Underworld Blood Wars that I have never heard of.
I think you're right. I think I've seen it once. I don't so once was is not enough to remember. I either really wanted to see it and didn't get to, or I saw it once and I don't remember it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
yes. If you really want to, we need to do that
yeah, we should watch that together at
watch.
some point.
Yes. Um but with that, we'll get into the meat and potatoes. We're going to share our notes. Um we're going to do it simultaneously because January took extensive notes, whereas I as a GM struggle taking notes because it's difficult to take notes and run the game at the same time. So when we opened up the game this last time, and we came back in, uh, they were still in battle with the kobolds that they had ended the session with last time. There was one kobold left, and one kobold who had run the fuck away because he threw his weapon and then realized that he had no weapon. Um, so do you remember who killed? I think it was
It
you.
was Nilro, actually. He killed the final
Oh,
kobold. Yeah.
nice. Nilro got the kill.
Yeah, I can't remember how he did it. I think it may have been the
Needle darts.
needle darts, because that spell is clutch.
Yes, it is such an amazing. It and gouging claw are two of the most amazing new like cantrips that they put into from the remaster.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm having fun
Um,
with gouging claw. That one's fun.
yes, that is the Magus's. Oh, that is the Magus' spell now for cantrips.
Yeah.
Um, but so the other kobold ran away. Combat ended. You looted every single thing off of every kobold,
Sure did.
and then realized you had no way to get into the same room that the kobolds were trying to get into.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah, it was
like,
like a giant gated
yeah, it was kind of like a
area or
cell.
something. Yeah.
It was like a big cell because it went into the wall, but it had metal bars and a metal bar door on it that was locked.
Right.
Um, so you're trying to figure it out. You're trying to figure it out. And Boaz has this great idea. He's like, "Can I see into it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you can see through the bars." He's like, "Can I mirror into it since it's a teleport? It's a at the end of it, it's a teleportation."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah, actually you can."
Yeah.
So he uses the mirror to get in to the room, loots the room, finds a special sword, and do you remember what else you found?
We got a unusual short sword, a gold ring, and 200 silver pieces.
Nice. Yes. So y'all are racking up the money there.
Yeah.
Um but let's see. You tried to fill excuse me. you tried to treat your wounds, both Nilro and Sue. Unfortunately, you failed.
We both failed,
Yeah, both of
which
you
is
failed.
which will listeners, this will be setting a trend for this session. These two fail rolls were setting a trend.
Oh
We should
boy,
have
were they.
known.
Oh boy, were they. Nilro identified the short sword. Um, was it just the +1 short sword, or was that the smoldering short sword?
Yeah, no, it was just a +1.
Okay, so maybe you
It
haven't found the smoldering short sword?
probably, yeah. And he said
I'm
that
running 2 of these games, so forgive me. And y'all
no
are
worries.
about at the same spot, they're a little ahead of you.
Okay. I liked how Nilro basically was saying that the potency on the potency rune on the short sword can actually be transferred to another weapon because um, Boaz has a oh, I can't remember the name of it, but it's a really cool Arabic sword. Like it has like the
The
big like hook
curve,
on the curve on it, and
uh, does it
oh
start with a
shoot,
K?
it's not Kapesh, Kopesh.
Kopesh.
That's what, yeah. So he has the Kopesh, and so he was like, hey, maybe we could transfer that, to my sword. So that might be a thing that we'll do in the
Yeah.
future.
Yeah, and that's something that I love about Eric, and I try to incorporate into my GMing and my playing, is that these things have names and ways that they work in the world themselves. Like,
Yeah.
yes, it's a +1, but you wouldn't say, "Hey, this is a +1" in real world because there's no numbers. Like, y-
Right.
you know, the characters don't know that someone's rolling a die.
Right.
And so they're called potency runes, or the other ones are called, nope, I can't remember what they're called. Like attribute runes, or I could look it up, but I'm not going to take the time to do so. Um,
I just love the
but
nope. I don't remember.
nope, nope. But these fundamental runes, these are called potency runes. Or no, the other ones are called fundamental runes. That's what it is. The other ones are fundamental runes, and these are potency runes.
Got it.
And so you can say it's a first tier potency rune, which would mean that there's tiers of them, that they make them stronger, but not necessarily indicating it's a +1 potency rune.
Hmm.
It's a
Yeah.
first tier potency. And he does that with the +1 sword, the +1s, the the fundamental runes. He'll speak in that way that it's a rune of that, and it can be transferred because it's an inscription, uh that is a magical inscription that is transferred from one thing to the other. Because you can find just rune stones with random runes on them,
Oh, cool. All right.
and then
Good to
that can
know.
be transferred to a weapon or an
Awesome.
armor piece. And so he'll do that with spells too, because spells are not level 1, level 2, they're tiers. First tier, second tier, and I think actually in the remaster they're reclassified as tiers,
Okay.
even for the metagame knowledge.
Interesting.
Instead of spell level, it's spell tier. But so he'll do that, and he'll also like flavor his spells according to what they're supposed to be doing, or
Yeah, I like
according
that.
to, like, I flavor my spell also with one character that I have that is an oracle sorceress. Um, they come from different. The oracle and the sorcerer abilities come from different entities, different ways. And so they have, if she's using an oracle spell, she has one color that it comes out as. If she's using a sorcerer spell, it comes out as a different color because it's based off of whatever entity and power that gives her magic, what the the flavor of it, the color of it.
Mm, I see.
And so Eric will flavor his spells to match. And I've I've done my best to start doing that myself.
Yeah. I love it. I love, like, for example, when I watch Critical Role, they do that too. In their current game, they actually have, well, I guess one of the girls is a sorceress, and the other girl is a warlock.
Yeah.
But even then, they each have a way, like they may even cast a similar spell,
Mhm.
and they are always sort of adapt the spell and describe it in a way that it would make sense for it to look like it's coming from that specific character, like
Yeah, for sure.
Imogen's character, she's got the purple hair, so her lightning spell is purple,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Whereas Laudna, her damage, her magic damage is usually necrotic, so it's more like this dark green or black, you know,
Yeah, yeah, for
color that
sure.
that comes out. So I love that they don't just be like, yeah, I cast lightning, and that's it. I love that they
Yeah.
describe it, and it really gives, again, like how you were saying, it inspires me to try to figure out, okay, my character looks like this is her personality, how does it come out when she does this particular action?
Yeah, for sure. And it's like I think that a lot of that started back with on Critical Role with Liam and Caleb.
Yeah, for sure. Liam is so good about the descriptions. I mean, now
Oh
he's
my god.
playing he's playing a fighter, and his
Oh,
fighting descriptions are just as
as good as his
colorful as,
spells.
yes. Oh my god, and it's like he describes the fighting maneuvers so well that it really makes you feel like you're there watching him.
Yes.
It's so good.
Eric does the same thing. And so he will get, just to let you know, for forewarning if you haven't realized this already. He'll get gory.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
And he will describe, oh my gosh, the descriptions that he gives.
I can't wait.
But in any case, back to the game.
Okay.
So he identified the short sword, and then you're like, well, there was that ledge that we didn't, and those doors that we didn't look at. So you went back to the ledge, climbed the ledge, checked the doors, and then opened them. Inside, you found a grimy shrine, except for one thing: a silver bowl which seemed to be filled with water that was clean. Everything else was grimy. Um, you went in, started looking around. There was also a statue of a cephalopod on the back wall. So Nilro tried to recall knowledge on it, see if he knew anything about this deity that this shrine might be dedicated to, and he critically failed it. Um, so he thought it belonged to, well, a cephalopod deity.
Yep.
However, however, Boaz was like, well, I'm aquatic. And so he looked at it, he's like, no, no, this is Gazra. And Nilra
Yeah.
was like, oh, 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 okay. Whoops.
Oh, that was so funny. Yeah, I wrote down basically the same thing, Gazra. And it was interesting for my character too, because my character is also kind of has water roots, I should say,
Mm-hmm.
and having her own tendril that comes from her head. she was really interested in seeing this cephalopod with all these. It was basically the head of a cephalopod looked like, and with all the tentacles that came out. And so
Yeah.
she didn't. I mean, of course, she didn't really know what it was until Boaz described it. But yeah, it was almost like, oh, wait a second. Did it occurred to her that the wizard that flesh warped her may have used something like this kind of animal on her, which was like
Yeah.
kind of, yeah, it was just kind of like an enlightening thing for her to just sort of recognize in the moment. But I loved how this particular god, Gazra, is a god of nature, a sea god, and he's kind of a wrathful deity. Um, and he's like this, like the fury of the ocean is the
Mhm.
masculine part of him, and then or them, and then the feminine part of them is the like the beauty of nature. And I loved it personally out of game, but I think my character also really that really resonated with her too. So she was just enthralled in this room.
And so she, as she was looking around and just taking in the, which that occurs to me that mold and stuff is natural. So I don't think that it was necessarily desecrating the shrine, which that might be why the bowl is one of the reasons that the bowl is so clean. But Boaz jokingly dared Sue to drink from the water because everybody's like, "Nah, I ain't touching that." And he's like, "Sue, drink it. I dare you." And Sue's like, "Fine." And she offered respect and drank from the bowl. She felt much better and like she had a strength inside her. And so she left the offering of a blue mushroom.
Yeah, that was interesting because even though he dared me to do it, I was gonna do it anyway because I touched the water and nothing happened, and then he was like, "I dare you to drink it," and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna do it anyway."
Right?
But I wanted to do it just to make sure because my character is very interested in how the gods interact with the people,
Mhm.
and she hasn't really talked about her own personal experiences with it yet, but it is something that she recognizes, and so that's why she wanted to pay respect just in case it was some sort of disrespect. So she wanted to make sure that if there was a god watching, I'm not meaning any disrespect, I'm just trying to pay respects.
Yeah.
um, but I think that the it gave me something called Ocean's Might, which was basically I wrote down reaction to a crit attack for the next hour, and I can't
Yeah.
remember exactly what that means.
So what it did was it gave you a reaction that you could use. That if anything crit on you, you had a critical hit on you, or you critically failed a save against an attack,
Uh huh.
that you could use Ocean's Might once, and it would instead be a 1 degree less. So if it was a critical failure, it would just be a failure. If it was a critical success, it would turn it into a success.
Oh, okay. Okay. So it just removes the critical, whatever roll
Yeah,
it is.
yeah,
Okay. That makes sense.
which that came in handy later on.
Yeah. So, and by the way, when I first went to drink the water, the first save I had to make was a failure. By fortitude save
Yes.
failure. So I had to re-roll with a hero point,
Yes.
but just to
Yes,
go
you
along
did.
with the continued failures of this night.
Failures. Yeah, right. So then you went back into the room where the kobolds were, and you walked down a hallway, and as you got to the end of the hallway, you heard a ka-thunk, and the floor went down. And suddenly there were rumbles from above you, and the ceiling opened up, and rocks fell. But this time, nobody died. You were successful. You were critically successful in your reflex save. So there's 1 point for success.
Yeah, I was able to do
Um,
monk shit.
yeah, you did dope monk shit and dodged all the rocks falling on you.
That was great.
So then you moved on into a room with some statues and a table that had 9 gold coins on it and a statue in front of it with its hands outstretched. It bellowed to you as you entered the room, noting that there were 9 coins before you, and this person judges the wealth and raises that which is higher. And so it said that you had 2 choices, two chances, and to decide which coin was false in order to receive his blessing. And the statue was a man with a bow across his back. I believe Nilro um identified this as a statue of a Rastil.
Yes.
So you started studying everything in the room and then went back to the table and the puzzle. And you debated on so many different ways of trying to figure out this puzzle. Do you have anything to add about that? Debates?
Yeah, it was really interesting because, I was trying to figure out how to figure out the puzzle, and Nilro was really, helpful as far as what direction to go and, like, how we should approach it. And so I'm trying to remember, but basically, we had to figure out which coin was the wrong coin, was the least valuable coin. And, we had to put a certain amount of coins in each place to figure out how much they weighed, because we figured out, okay, both of the hands are out, and it we assumed at the time that it acted like a scale.
Yes.
And so that's kind of, and it turned out that's how it works. So we put 3 coins in the right hand and 3 coins in the left, and then the other 3 we left on the table. And
Yes.
then by sort of process of elimination, we were able to sort of eliminate all the coins that didn't get a reaction, and then finally we were left with just 3 coins by themselves, and did the same thing and realized, okay, this the one that I think it was the one that raised up was the one that was lighter, so it didn't have as much value. I think that's
We
how it
got
worked.
we got confused on how it works because we're like, well, if it scales, the the one that is real, the one that doesn't have the fake would go
Mhm.
down.
Yeah.
But in the riddle that it said it raises wealth.
Right, that's what it was. The riddle was the key.
So we got confused, or I got confused, and we said it could go either way, but yes, you chose the right coin.
Yeah, so then after choosing the coin, because we were thinking, "Oh, well, once we put the coin and measure it, something will happen," and nothing happened. And so one of us had to take the coin that we thought was the right coin and take the chance and offer it up. And so my character did that, and so thank goodness I picked the right one and figured it
Yes.
out, and it
Yes.
ended up opening up a room. So
Yes. And it was just a little, hopefully this doesn't make you feel bad. But a little metagaminess because Eric has been through this adventure path and these pieces like 4 times, and he's also running it.
Right.
So he metagaming Lee Meta knows how the puzzle works,
Yeah.
but he knew that you two didn't.
Yeah.
And so he was letting y'all talk it out and try to figure out and give small hints to
Yeah.
try to help you guys get to the conclusion.
Oh, yeah, no, his help was great because I didn't feel like I knew that he knew, I just had a feeling that he just knew how to go, do it, but at the same time, he was trying to allow us, like you said, the time to figure it out and just kinda giving little nudges and hints here and there that without
Yeah.
actually giving anything away, which was so great, and I love that. I
Yes.
think actually, I remember after we figured it out, my character went up to his character and put her hand on his shoulder, and I thanked him for his help because
Yeah.
that was awesome.
I find it very interesting out of all the games that I've ever played or no, I shouldn't just say played. Any games that I've been in, whether it's
Mm,
played or GMing,
mhm.
you two are the most friendly right off the bat.
Me and Boaz or me and Nilro?
Yeah.
Oh,
You
okay.
and Boaz. Eric always plays like a standoffish character at first, usually. Well,
Mhm.
usually. He's done it like twice where he's not been a standoffish character. But most of the time it takes time to warm up to his character or
Mhm.
for his character to warm up to the party.
Yeah.
Not like he's a solo hero kind,
Yeah.
but just he it takes him a little bit, which is it kind of harkens back to his own personality.
Yeah.
It takes time to warm for him to warm up to people.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
just you and Boaz and you and Mike just being able to be friendly and like put your hands on each other's shoulders and stuff. I've never had an experience like that in a game and I love it so much. I am so here for it because
It's
I
cool.
want to see where like immediately friendly party for the most part goes and how Nilro deals with such friendliness with his, especially with his backstory.
Yeah, because the reason why I felt like it was important to even be more friendly is because our very first encounter, we all almost died.
Yeah.
Like, there were 2
Yeah.
people downed, and I was down to 1 hit point, and we barely escaped. So
Yeah.
I felt like, "Okay, we've been through some shit."
Yeah, you've already been
We've
through
already
some
been
shit.
we've already been through some shit, so we've kind of bonded a little bit, and, I think that for my character, who is basically an amnesiac, she's just really living in the moment.
Yeah.
She doesn't really have a frame of reference for a lot of things, so she's living in the moment, and I think Boaz's
Kind
character is sort of young and just eager to learn and absorb all this information, so
Mhm.
his approach is like, "I just wanna soak everything in," and of course, you get more information by being kind and willing to help, so
Yeah.
that's kind of where we're both coming from as far as playing our characters. And it's kind of funny to be able to interact with Nilro because he's sort of this like kind of a curmudgeon, like this older he's playing like this older wizard dude that's kind of standoffish and shy and he's got this cat that is also kind of standoffish and shy and can't really communicate, doesn't want to be called kitty and that kind of thing. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's kind
I
of
get
like
to play this cat.
I love it. I love it so much. But yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with the interaction too.
Yes. So which just a little note that I'm saying. Uh the coin that was chosen was number 7.
Yes.
7 was the wrong coin was the false coin.
Yes.
So anyways, y'all it opened this door and there was a mechanism of some sorts that seemed to turn on or turn off something. And you weren't quite sure what it did, but it seemed to be in the off position. And then there was on top of it was a small little shrine to Erastil. And then there was also a chest with some boons in it, some goodies. Uh, and do you remember what you looted from that chest?
Yeah, let's see. Boaz opened the chest, and there was a scroll of magic missile that got Nilro identified. Um, or actually, it's called Force Barrage in Pathfinder. Excuse
Yes.
me. And then we found some coins, which I didn't write down the amount. It just says scroll coins and emerald.
Ah, yes, the emeralds. The infamous emeralds from another game.
Oh no.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it
so
was
we
bad.
still don't know. We still don't know what any of that means, and we still don't know what that mechanism does.
Oh, you do technically.
Oh,
You
it turned on
Nil.
the traps.
Yes, yes, it did.
God damn it! I knew it.
Yes, it turned on those spear
The
traps.
spear traps that got us later. Okay.
Yeah. So remember that one kobold that ran off away from the first fight that didn't have any weapons?
Oh my god.
Yeah, well there were actually holes in that room, and Sue and Boaz, and I don't know if Nilro actually looked through them, but I know Sue and Boaz did.
Mhm.
And you saw the goblins with a new spear, that hurt goblin with a new spear.
You cobalt, you mean?
And oh, damn it, I'm doing it again. I did it in my it was in my last game. Uh my last one was me running another Abomination Vaults, and I kept doing goblins as well. I'm like, why am I doing this? Well, the reason was because I had accidentally wrote goblin in my notes, and so I
Oh,
kept seeing the word goblin.
gotcha. Yeah.
And goblins are the stereotypical low level enemies.
Right.
So I'm so used to them being goblins.
Yeah.
In any case, the kobolds. The kobold that you had fought earlier ran off and was with a new spear standing behind a pillar waiting for you to come through. And so Boaz had the genius idea to yet again use his mirror. And so the plan was, as soon as Sue opened the door, because they were going to know as soon as that door opened, he was going to use his mirror to mirror behind one kobold, or the kobold that he could see.
Right.
And so he mirrored as they opened the door, and in one action, or in one turn, he slit one kobold's throat that was hiding behind the pillar that he mirrored to,
Mhm.
turned around, and gut slashed the other one, killing both of them instantly.
Yeah. That was a great move.
There's another success for you. The two successes: dope monk shit and dope thaumaturge shit.
Yeah.
Uh, so you entered the room. I believe, was it Sue or Nilra that triggered the trap? Sue.
It was me. It was
Yeah,
me. I immediately took damage.
yeah. You ran right behind, in front of where the other kobold was, and stepped on a trapped plate and triggered the spike trap. took
I s
damage.
I triggered the spike trap twice in this battle because when I think I triggered it when I first walked in. Oh, no, no, no. First I did the rocks, and then I stepped
Yeah.
on a plate that did the
Yes.
spears, and then I think that happens again later.
I remember, I know what you're talking about. So, you entered and there was another kobold hiding behind another pillar and a different, like, higher ranked kobold standing atop, uh what would it be called? Would it be a platform? It had
Yeah.
stairs leading up to it.
Yeah, it was like I think we might call it
Dais
a
or
dais, yeah.
Yeah, a dais. And so it was standing on a dais, and what I failed to remember is that the traps were visible. But it was visible that he had laid a few traps during his turn.
Right.
And so you instantly killed I don't remember who instantly killed the other one.
I think it was me because I tried I had to do it twice. I cast Ray of Frost on it, and the first roll failed, and then I had to use my second hero point of the night, and then I ended up killing it.
Okay, that's what it was. And so you killed that one, and you just had this what is known as a trap master.
Yes, that was
And
the last one left.
yes, and Sue ran up, and this was on my bad that I didn't make the traps visible, and Sue would have stepped on one of his traps. But since I realized that they should have been visible and Sue would have seen the trap, then she stepped one back. And so you almost stepped on a trap, but that was because I didn't make them visible.
Yeah.
So you all this trap master was surrounded by traps. And so you battled him. And I think you have more extensive notes on the battle than I do because I just have he runs away.
Yes. So, okay, so so after I used, I think, so I was trying to figure out how to attack this fucking kobold, and I feel like this is the same kobold that ran away from the original game, prior game, I mean. And so I think I tried everything to hit him, and I missed every single time. Um, Boaz used his mirror and jumped behind him, and he tried to attack and kept missing. I think he may have hit him once because we got him down pretty far as far as his HP,
Yeah.
but he just would not die. Um, and then Boaz used his dragon fetish and attacked and missed. Nilro, and at this point, Nilro prior, I forgot to say, prior he had cast Shroud of Night, so supposedly this kobold was blind,
Yeah.
and I think he was afraid or something too. So he even had,
Once he sent Samal, his cat, up near him,
yeah,
he
yeah,
was afraid.
yeah.
He
So
was frightened.
he had all these debuffs. So we're thinking we're doing good. So Nilro even does it and casts it again. He misses. Then it goes to my turn again. I missed again every single time. I literally was so angry by my bonus action, which was my last action left, that I just picked up a rock and just threw it, and even the rock missed.
Yep. Yep.
Um, so then Boaz had this great idea because he was, so after Boaz had positioned himself on the other side of this kobold, right? And he was getting ready to attack. Um, the freaking kobold goes to run off and succeeds in saving, and they were in this weird position where it would have been like any other time probably not feasible for this kobold to get past Boaz, but he
Mm-hmm.
fucking did. He succeeded in his, I think he had a critical
Acro-
success.
yeah. And his acrobatics check.
in his acrobatics checks, was able to jump over Boaz, and but then finally Boaz got a chance to shove the kobold into their own trap, and
No, it's backwards.
oh, okay. Oh, is that what
So
happened?
yeah, so what had happened was Boaz succeeded in shoving him into his own trap, but he
Oh,
critically
that's right.
succeeded at the save. And then on his turn, which was directly next, he was down to so little HP that he used an acrobatics check to tumble past Boaz, who
That's
was
right.
standing in the only spot that didn't have a trap,
That's right.
and ran down some stairs.
That's right. And I mean, we threw so much at this kobold. I, at some point, tried Flurry of Blows. I tried Void Warp. Um, and then finally, this damn kobold ran down the stairs. We were trying to prevent him to run. The same kobold with 3 HP left. And that's where we had to end the game. It was just
Yep.
like, it was one of the most hilarious confrontations. This kobold would not die.
What's funny is it's not the same kobold.
It's not. Okay.
No, it's not. So in each battle, you keep having a different kobold run off.
Oh, no.
So the next battle, you're gonna have another because you know that you're fighting more kobolds.
Yeah, for
So the
sure.
next one, you're gonna have a different kobold that runs off, and you just keep having this. It's like a relay race.
It is.
They're passing off the baton to the next person.
Oh, man. It's wild, but it was really fun. I mean, even with all the misses and the funny, critical misses and stuff was fun. We had a great time.
Yes, I'm having such a hard time keeping my games separate because I'm running so many of the same game
I can imagine.
that I'm like, all right, you people that took notes, I didn't write this down. Did y'all do this? Because
Yeah.
we've all played these adventure paths. One of us at least has played this adventure paths to a certain degree, and so like in Eric's campaign that he's running, that's the furthest campaign that we've gotten in Abomination Vaults.
Yeah.
For Rise of the Rune Lords, Eric and I have both played multiple times, but successfully finished it once. In Age of Ashes, Eric and I successfully finished it once. So I can be granted in Age of Ashes, I'm not running more than one of them, so it's easier to keep track of.
Yeah.
But Rise of the Rune Lords, I'm running to. Abomination Vaults, I'm running to. And I'm technically helping run another one. I'm the second GM on Curse of the Crimson Throne, but it's on hiatus.
I
And then
see.
I'm also the second GM on one that Eric and I are doing as a duet that is the final saga for Rise of the Rune Lords, the Rune Lord saga, which is Return of the Rune Lords. But it's also on hiatus. But I'm doing something in like all but 3 of them.
Awesome. That's
Or
amazing,
no,
like, that
all
you're
but
able to
2
do
of
that.
them. Yeah. It's just, oh my, the games are running together, and I'm having to be like, all right, did y'all find out whose tomb that was? Okay.
Hope you wrote it
Uh,
down.
somebody, if you didn't, if I didn't write it down and you didn't write it down and nobody remembers, I'm sorry.
It's not canon.
Yeah, right.
Just kidding. That reminds me of something I saw the other day. I think it was Dimension 20 was doing something where they were playing a game, and it was literally just a clip, but
Mhm.
they were doing their game, and then somebody rolled, and they're like, "Oh, that's a critical 20, or a, nat 20," and all of a sudden, Brennan, who was the GM in that game, gets up
Oh
and
god.
he trades places with the person who rolled the 20, and and so then the player became the GM.
Uh-huh.
And so apparently this is how they're playing this particular game, is whenever they roll
Well, a nat
this
20.
a nat 20 for a specific kind of roll, that person who rolled it gets to switch places with the GM, and then they
Oh,
become the
that's
GM.
so cool.
I know, right? That sounds like a really fun
That
thing to
yeah,
do.
because
We should,
people
like, do a
get to
one shot.
yes, we should do that
That
sometime.
sounds
That
like
would be
fun.
so cool.
Yeah, that would be
Um,
fun.
I've actually thought about doing something like that, or another thing that I thought about was asking players to make like 5 characters
Oh.
and give them to me. And then the story starts as you wake up as an amnesiac.
Mhm. Okay.
And you've got to figure out, you got to try to do things and figure out your character. And I start filling them in on your character sheet.
Oh, that sounds like fun. I would totally be down for that. That's a great idea.
I heard something very similar to that somewhere else. And I was like, oh my God, I want to do this.
Yeah.
So
That's cool.
there's so many adventure paths, and I want like I have that idea of doing that, but I just can't come up with like a story, a
Mhm.
story to take you down. So I think that would be really cool of getting to switch places and run with just different bits of the story.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that idea very much. I would totally be down to figure that one out.
That's cool. But well, that I guess that is our back to the beach kind of thing, or
Yeah.
back to the tavern. It's back to
Yeah.
the tavern in this one.
That's right.
Back to the tavern of ideas of what we want to play and games that I'm playing in. Have have you ever is this your first tabletop game period that you've
Uh,
actually played in?
no, I've played in other games, just very short because it
Sure.
like the players or the GM or whatever, everything just fizzled out. So I
Yeah.
played D&D a bit, and then I did a one shot one time, and then I played another game where we did like 4 sessions.
Mhm.
So it's all like early stuff, I didn't
Yeah.
really get a chance to sort of delve into things, especially with people like you and Eric, where you're so knowledgeable about the game and you're totally invested in playing, but also you both have this really cool energy where you just are okay with letting things unfold, which is super helpful for people who are just new and coming into it.
Mhm.
So this is fun. I'm really having a good time.
I'm so glad. That makes me feel so good. That's one of the things that I definitely thrive on, because I always hate on myself that I'm a terrible GM because I don't, do a lot of the voices, or I don't do so much description, or I just go kind of, well, if you don't really want to role play, I'm not going to make you role play or anything like this, so
Yeah.
hey, is there anything you want to say or do? If not, we're moving on, kind of, and just
Yeah.
kind of flow with it. That my number one rule is rule of cool.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
So,
that's important.
but thank you guys for listening and supporting us. Um, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe or like button, and we'll see you guys next time on After the Game. But actually, the next time will be our therapy helping hands therapy notes, and then we'll see you again for After the Game, talking about our next session. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Don't forget to love each other.
Yes, don't forget to love each other.